What's going on? Not sure if you can hear me. The machine's running, carving on this wine barrel, carving on this wine barrel lid. So far, so good. The previous one, the 1/8 inch end mill slipped in the collet, so it ruined the wine barrel lid. And it was my favorite lid. I think it was my favorite lid. Hope it's not too loud. All right, what's going on, guys? I'm finally carving on these wine barrel lids, and so the first run, the collet slipped, or the 1/8 inch end mill in the collet slipped and totally ruined the piece. Just carved way too deep. So second time around, so I'm using the brand. I designed this in the version 8 of Carbide Create, and so far so good. Nothing's really changed. Still using carbide motion to get this carved. So this is the advanced V-carve. So as you just saw, it is the 1/8 inch end mill that did the clearing path. And now I'm gonna go back into it with the 60-degree V-bit. Pretty simple, nothing crazy. So let me go ahead and change out the to the V-bit right now, and then we'll get that carve going. What's going on? Hey, what's up, Raymond? This kid, am I a kid? I don't know if, I'm just kidding. I'm not a kid. I was gonna say, am I a kid? Yeah, no, not anymore. All right, so let me flip this around and get this V-bit in here real quick. So let me press OK. Oops. Wasn't really prepared for that. All right, let me just get the tools. You guys right there. I had to really crank on these 1/8 inch end mills because they tend to slip. Does anyone else have that issue? They slip in the collet. So I really crank that tight. And when these get stuck like that, I just kind of jiggle this around. And we'll eventually take out the end mill, but also the collet. Just like that. So I blow on these just to get any dust out of the way, reduce that slippage. Get it started. Now we're going with the 60-degree V-bit. I hope it's not loud. I hope it's not loud, to be honest with you. I've done a live once before and I muted everything. Let me know. But when I went back into it, it wasn't that loud, surprisingly. So I hope it's not too bad on your guys' end. All right, 60-degree V-bit is in. The prompt is telling me in carbide motion to switch over to this. And once I press OK, it'll come over here to the bit setter. It's right here where I'm leaning up against you guys. Yeah, hopefully it's not. Turn it down. I've done that myself where I'm watching something and I forget the volume's all the way up and boom. It scares me most of the time too. But I'm going to move my phone real quick. We'll press OK on the carbide motion. It'll come measure the tool on the bit setter, and then we'll turn it back on. I probably won't be on live for the entire process because I think it was like a 40-minute process to just come back with the 60-degree V-bit. So this kid, thank you though for joining. I appreciate it. Where are you located at? Where are you guys at? I'm in California. It's about 7:30, 8 o'clock almost. Yeah, 7:33. So let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that now. I'll just take you to the computer. Why not? Just check it out. So there on the computer, it's telling me insert the tool. I've done that. I'm going to click on resume. It'll measure using the bit setter. Once it's done with the bit setter, I will then turn that bad boy back on, and then it's going to be, look, it says 42 minutes, so I'm not going to keep you on the entire 42 minutes, but just thought I'd show you guys what I'm up to this evening. All right, so now it's telling me to turn this guy on. I'm going to use, let me go back over here. I'm going to use my Re wireless controller to turn it on from over here. So I'm going to turn this guy on, and then I'll press enter on my controller, and that'll get it going. Oh, dude, Kentucky. Oh, man, I've been to Kentucky. I like Kentucky. All right, here we go. Is it too loud? Let me know if it's loud. I might, if these kind of get popular and people like seeing the process, I might as well try to go live with some more whenever I can. Usually around this time, I could probably get on and show you the carves. But I appreciate you subbing. Hey, Papas, thank you for joining. Hope it's not too loud. It's gonna be really cool once this ink gets put together. Oh, just kidding. Psyched me out. All right, so let me talk to you about what I did here. I threw this one away, but I might as well talk about it. Here's the first one. I don't know, most of you have probably heard already. I was carving with the 1/8 inch end mill and it slipped in the collet. It just started out good. I think it was actually this way. Started out good. Some spots were not carving, but other than that, everything was fine until it started slipping and it just gouged this out. One thing I noticed with this particular lid, can I zoom out? Nope. With this lid, I took it apart and glued it and then put it back together and then put the backer on it. What I did with the one on the that's carving now is I did not glue it, and I had more uniform or level slats. I guess when I put it back together, like this one is more raised than this one here, and that's why I didn't carve here. But yeah, anyways, I think I'm gonna stop gluing these together and just glue this back panel and nail it in, and that should support it just fine. Just kind of like my rustic flags, I don't glue the strips together anymore. I just use the back strips and glue and nail those down, and holds the flag just fine. So I'll do the exact same with these guys. So just in case you guys were planning on making some of these are wine barrel lids. I really like this one. This is the ebony one. This is just Varathane ebony, and it came out really nice. I'm so bummed that it got ruined though, but we'll make some more of these. All right, so I just wanted to talk to you guys about that real quick. Let's go back to the carve. I'm gonna probably sell these for $100 or $120. I gotta do some more research on them. I gotta do more research. The barrel lids? Are you asking about the barrel lids? How much did the barrel lid cost? Oh, yeah. I gotta do research on how much these are going for. This is a test one going to a family member, so everything's working out just fine. So I'm gonna advertise it. The machine, I think it was around $1,200, $1,500. I think if I recall correctly. All right, so here's my favorite part when when the advanced V-carve clears out the areas. Yeah, that's so cool. So it's just going to keep doing that now. It's traced everything out. Now it's going to go back into the areas. All right, thank you, this kid. I appreciate it. But yeah, this is going back into the entire area that it traced out and just clearing it out and leaving that nice text and florals. All right, well, since I got people hanging out, still consistently watching, I'm gonna put you guys on the tripod and we'll just finish it together. So let me go do that now. Let me know in the comments, what are you guys working on? What project are you trying to complete right now? This is the second half of the advanced V-carve. The V-bit now is coming in and cleaning everything up. It's already done the outline for a lot of the florals, for everything really, the florals and the text. It's just going in there now and cleaning it out, making it that flat bottom. Like right there, it just cleared out that piece of remaining material. It's gonna do that for the bees as well. Zoom in on that. There's some more right here in the middle and on the top. That's my favorite part, just watching it do that and leaving everything flush. Sorry about that, forgot to zoom out. We got about 7 minutes, guys. We actually ended up watching it. I said we weren't gonna do this, but people kept watching. People hung around or kept tuning in, so we just decided, let's just do it together. So about 7 more minutes. We were so close, guys. We were so close to a perfect carve, but something happened here. Let me zoom in. There's a screw right there. And I started noticing that these florals right here, these are not carved all the way flat. I'm like, what's going on? Did I mess something up in the setup portion? I just started, brainstorming quickly, but everything was fine up until here, up until this screw. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to do this whole area. Again, this is all like, I'm just thinking through all this right now as it's happening, as it's still carving these floors over here on the left. I'm like, I'm gonna have to redo this whole thing, this whole section again. And I decided to pause it because what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna switch out this 60-degree V-bit. Where's my tools at? Oh, nope, that's not gonna work. I just messed up. Guys. My 60-degree V-bit is measured. Its placement into the collet is measured, all set up according to what the bit setter settings are. So I have to stop it now for sure, because I just removed it. I can't just put a new one in and start carving because it'll mess up. But let me just show you the tip of the 60-degree V-bit. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. There you go. That's why it's not carving correctly. The tip of it has been broken off. It's not reaching to the max depth anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into, I am going to switch this out. I have to stop the operation, switch out to the other V-bit that I have, and recarve this floral section and this family section. This was almost done. Everything else is done except for this part right here. Ah, dang, poke myself. Everything else is done except for this section here and the family. So it won't take too long, but it is unfortunate that I hit that screw. So I guess that's something to keep in mind if you guys ever do this type of project, that you might have some screws in there. Well, I think that's going to end this particular live session. We almost made it. Everything else is looking really good. Look how flat that is. How clean that is. Even these florals, the ones that were carved correctly, nice and flat in there. Text was looking good too. All right, guys. Well, let me know in the comments if you guys like these live sessions. I know this is maybe the second or third I've ever done, but there were people hanging around, so I just kept it going, even though I said I wasn't gonna, have you guys hang around for this whole thing. But we'll leave it at that. I'll see you guys later.